Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Zen. I'm not going to be on here long at all, but there's something new that I want to start doing today, and they're going to be my directional goddess lamp readings. Hi, twin. I love you. I want to start getting on here and doing my directional goddess um, collective lamp readings. And so today starts that. Hi, Mia. Hi, Boo. I want to start doing that today. And basically, what these directional goddess lamp collective readings are going to center around is really supplying us with messages and supplying us with information as it relates to the sacred directions, to the four directions. And those of you who worked actively with our goddess lamps, be it our quick burn lamps, which are new to the sanctuary, or our traditional goddess lamps, which are the original goddess lamps that come in like a collection box. You guys will know that I tend to come onto our Highland Spices page and try to give out information or ways that you guys can read your lamps on your own, at your own pace, using your own intuition, but having the necessary tools in order for you guys to be able to do that. And so it is my intention through my directional readings that you guys are able to take away effective information that you're able to apply practically in your life, but that you're also able to read your goddess lamps on your own, no matter where you are and no matter what time you are working with them. And so last night, for those of you who joined our Music Mancy meditation last night, for this full blood moon in Taurus paired with a lunar eclipse, I gave out some information as it relates to where the direction of the wick was moving. And through interpreting the direction of where the wick had settled at last night, we walked away with so much powerful information, and that live ended up not saving. Even though we thought that we were recording it, the live ended up not saving, and so I thought it would be a good idea to come on here and to give you guys those messages that came through last night during our Music Mancy meditation. And so that's what I am going to do. For those of you who are wondering what this divination practice is, it is called lampdomancy, and I am an oilmancer. And what that is that here at the sanctuary, I interpret messages and forms of communication from the universe via working with the directions and where the wick moves, but its main focus is working with the property of oil. And so here at the sanctuary, me being an oilmancer, I do divination through the form of working with oil. And so I want to do them daily. I'll figure out what days I want to come on here and do them. Maybe I'll do them once a week. Maybe I'll do them daily if I feel called to. But for right now, we're just going to flow. And when I feel that there is something, an important message that's coming through during our daily burns, I'll hop on here and I'll update you guys on the new directional guidance that was coming through. And so today, hello to everybody that's coming in. I want to read your comments. Zen says, when I lit mine again, the smoke was black. I added in an essential oil. Is that why, or is it speaking to me, or can I light it still? And so, Zen, that's a really great question. Oftentimes when you guys are working with candles or doing candle magic, you guys will often see that, depending upon what ritual that you're doing, or depending upon how much the ritual is working or how ineffective the ritual may be working, black smoke can accumulate. And it doesn't always have to mean a bad thing, but it is always a message that's coming through. And so when you tend to see black smoke coming off of the flames of your goddess lamps, it's absolutely sending you a message. And one of the first messages that it's sending you is letting you know that there may be a lot of stagnant energy around. Maybe there may be a lot of negative emotions or feelings that may be around, or the work that you're doing, or maybe the work that you're doing needs a little bit of clearing and cleansing. And so what I love to do with our goddess lamps when I'm working for other people and I see black smoke accumulating off of the flame, I'll take a charged bowl of water, and I'll add some of my fixed waters. If I don't feel called to add any of our fixed waters, I will pour the water inside of my singing bowl and charge the water in that way. And then sit the goddess lamp inside of that bowl of water and then continue your burn. Now, you can either choose to put out the flame altogether and start a new wick, or you can just continue burning the same wick and just allow the energy to clear as it will, because now you're giving it, providing it with the element of water, which works as a conduit to cleansing the energy that may be around the work that you're doing, or just cleansing your energy, that you may have come to the work with, right? And so I hope that answered your questions then, okay? And so good. When the flame is high, that lets you know that the work that you're doing is really strong, or is really active, or the work that you're pushing out is super positive and charged. So those are all good signs. And as I continue to work on our Goddess Lamp book, all of those tips, all of those bits of information, and all of those key things to know when working with your lamps are going to be inside of our Goddess Lamp book. But until then, I am going to start focusing on centering content as it relates to our Goddess Lamp and working with our Goddess Lamp and understanding the messages that may be coming out of your lamps when you're working with them. Where do you recommend buying a singing bowl? I am going to save this in. For my birthday, my sister Tamara gifted me with such a beautiful, beautiful singing bowl. I'll try to find the website that she got it from, and I'll inbox it to you. But you can probably just put a Google search in and see what reputable places come up that sell singing bowls. You can also go to like your metaphysical shops if they carry them. I know they tend to carry them a lot now. Or you can look on Etsy. I'm sure you can find some really good ones on Etsy as well. And so let's jump in, guys. And so last night, or this is, I would say, the final day of our full moon in Taurus, our full blood moon in Taurus. We know that the full moon lingers for about 3 days, and so we're definitely at the tail end of this energy. But I think oftentimes with some moons, the energy tends to linger a little bit longer. And so if you found that you haven't had time to engage in ritual, or you feel like the messages that you may have needed to hear haven't come through just yet, take rest. And know that you still have time, and that you're never out of time for being able to do the work that you feel like you need to do, especially as it relates to shadow work, or releasing work, or banishing work, or just getting your home in order, getting your mind in order, getting your family and your friends in order, okay? And so, guys, I'm outside, so if y'all hear a lot of background noise, please excuse me. And as I say that, literally somebody comes outside and starts talking. And so if y'all hear noise or talking around me, I am outside. I thought that coming outside today would be really cool, and just taking in this earth energy, grounding outside, being in the element of Taurus, being of the earth and in the earth. And so today is a beautiful day, and so we are recording our first directional Goddess Collective lamp reading outside. And so excuse any noise that you guys may hear in the background. And so the lamp that we are working with today, and the lamp that we were working with last night, is our bridegroom goddess lamp. And so our bridegroom goddess lamp really focuses on and is set and crafted with the intention of giving you guidance, okay, and giving you information and protection on your path, wherever you may find yourself on your journey. The goddess stamp was really curated and inspired by the scripture or the section in the Bible where Jesus talks about the bridegroom and about the 10 virgins, and how some of them use foresight and use provision, ensuring that they had everything that they need as they waited for the ceremony to begin, as it relates to the bride and the groom coming together, right? You coming back into harmony and back into relationship with yourself, okay? Marrying that divine masculine energy with that divine feminine energy, and bringing them together, understanding that you are both and that you are not separated from either, okay? And so our bridegroom goddess stamp is really set with the intention of helping you to curate your path, and giving you light on that path when you feel like you've lost your way, or when you feel like your journey has become clouded, or maybe it's filled with a lot of obstacles. It doesn't always mean that you're not getting to where you are intended to go. It just means that maybe there's some things on your path that may need to be relinquished or cleared away, like we were talking about Zen with water, using the conduit of water to cleanse and to release, or using the element of fire, to cleanse and release, or planting yourself into the ground, maybe digging up the soil and putting your hands and your feet into the ground in order for you to really ground and to center yourself in earth, and so in any of these directions or pulling on any one of these elements, we find ways and where we can release and where we can let go, and where we can cut the ties of things that are no longer serving us. And I feel like that's what the energy of this lunar eclipse has really brought us. And it's also the last lunar eclipse of 2021. So this energy has been a beautiful time to really put a lot of things into finite finished, to where you're not allowing those things to really tailgate as you cross over into your next timeline, or even as we cross over going into these next couple years, and we know that right now there's definitely a time where we need to ensure, that we're putting all of our ducks in order and making sure that we're using provision and foresight, to put things and to put resources and to put people in place, ensuring that as we navigate our journeys, we know that we're going to arrive there on time, and making divine connection with the people and the places that we experience along our journey, right? And so last night, our directional reading is coming from our bridegroom goddess stamp. And so this is really speaking about the path, speaking about our paths as it relates to you individually, or as it relates to the collective, okay? We're really all being forced to look at our journeys and to really take a step back and to really look at the lives that we've curated around ourselves and the people that we've invited into our experience, be it to our benefit, be it to it pushing us further and deeper into our ascension, deeper and further into ourself, or maybe the experiences that you've been encountering on your journey has pulled you further and further away from who you were, or further and further away from who you desire to become. As we continue to evolve, these messages are really coming to give us direction, and to give us little gems in order to make it easier for us to navigate where we're walking. You know what I'm saying? And so last night, as we look down right now at the lamp, we can see that the wick has floated in the direction of the south, okay? We can see, and we read the goddess lamp as we would read a compass. That's how we know where we are in the energy, okay? That's how we know, where the messages are coming from and what direction is speaking to us at the time. And so right now, as we look at the goddess lamp, we can see the wick is floating in the south, and I think that that's very fitting because one of the directions that I wasn't able to give last night on our Music Mancy meditation was the direction of the south. And so last night, the Music Mancy reading focused on the south, the energy of the south, and it focused this energy and the direction of the east. Okay, and so let's get into what these messages or what these directions have come to tell us, or what information did it leave us with as we come out of this full moon in Taurus lunar eclipse. Okay, and so the direction of the east represents the rising of the sun, and so we know that speaks to a new day. Even if Kanye West song, we were listening to it earlier in the car. There's a part of the song where it says, even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night. And you can look at the direction of the east as being symbolism to that quote, or being symbolizing that sentence. If you find yourself in dark spaces, if you find yourself in the thick of your shadow work, really having to see yourself for all the ugly aspects of who you are, for all the ugly experiences that you've created for yourself, but you see light at the end of the tunnel, you see the sun shining bright, and the possibility of the sun shining bright as you go through that process, and as you go through that transformation. The direction of the east, I'm sorry guys, I keep hitting this. The direction of the east is really sending home the message that the sun is always waiting to shine, even in the darkest of storms that we may find ourselves in. Okay, so the east also represents the eagle. So you guys may see eagles throughout the week or throughout the next 6 months. You may see the eagle totem showing up in a number of ways, maybe in conversation, maybe in books that you read, maybe on a commercial that comes on TV, or a song that plays on the radio. The east represents the eagle, and if we really think about the spirit totem of the eagle, it really speaks to being able to fly above every circumstance, being able to fly above every obstacle that may present itself, as the world changes and transforms around us, as we change and transform around us. The eagle totem teaches us that as long as we spread our wings, as long as we are confident in the visions that we are setting before ourselves, we will always fly high above every issue, high above every obstacle, high above every person that said that we couldn't do it, even higher than the beliefs that we've placed on ourselves. Okay, and so the east represents the element of air. We know that we're at the age of Aquarius, and so the age of Aquarius is really dealing with our communication, how we speak to each other, how we deal with each other as it relates to the collective. With this pandemic happening, there's definitely a forcing of us to shun each other, or the intention that powers that be will have us to become the enemy of our neighbors, or to become the enemy of the people that we are in community with. And so the east representing the air is definitely a call to how we communicate and what we're communicating about. How are we using our platforms for forms of communication? Are you using it for upliftment? Are you using it to tell the truth? Or are you using it to push false narratives, or false ideas, or false beliefs? How is the communication that you have with yourself? How are the conversations that you're having with yourself when you go into your rooms and the lights go off and there's nobody else that's around you to either stroke or to empower you? What are the conversations that you're having with yourself? Okay, what are the conversations that you're having with your friends? Are these conversations pushing you forward? Are they elevating you past where you are? Or are they keeping you subjugated to an experience that you know that you have outgrown? Is it keeping you confined to an experience that you know that that it served its purpose? Are you staying around people? Are you staying in places afraid to move outside of your comfort zones because you don't know what may be on the other side? And so the East is speaking to and dealing with our communication. And so our directional reading being in the East is really letting us know that Spirit is working on how we communicate and what we communicate about. Pay attention to the communication that's coming from your government right now. Pay attention to the communication that's coming from your celebrities. Pay attention to the communication that's coming from your influencers. Is it speaking to your spirit, or is it pushing an agenda? Okay? Is it pushing the collective forward, or is it pulling the collective deeper and deeper into subjugation, and deeper into slavery, and deeper into ignorance? Or is the community as a collective pushing the collective towards ascension, towards rising like that of the sun? You know? So the East, some good crystals to be working with right now as it relates to the direction of the East. And if you guys want to pull in this energy of the East, if you feel that these messages are speaking to you, some really good crystals to work with right now is citrine. Citrine is a very good crystal for eradicating negative energy around you or negative energy within yourself. But not only is it eradicating the energy around you and your experience is going to amplify that which it cleanses. Okay, and so coming out of this lunar eclipse, this eclipse is all, the eclipse in general was really all about letting go and cutting ties and really releasing, not only on the surface, but really releasing within our roots. You know, releasing in the deepest aspects of ourselves, you know, going back to those inner childs. And if you know that there are still things that you're dealing with as it relates to your childhood, this would be the time for you to dig deep and to uproot that which doesn't belong. And so citrine is a wonderful crystal to work with, to hold you and to support you in that uprooting. Okay, another crystal to work with that came up earlier in the week for me, and I think it's just a really good crystal to be working with right now, especially if you find yourself tapping into your gifts, or you find that there are gifts that you embody that are coming online. Lumerian quartz is another wonderful crystal to work with. That carnelian is another wonderful crystal to work with, especially as it relates to that sacral energy. The East, let's keep going. The East represents new beginnings. And so when we look at the world around us, we see so many things dying to itself. We see so many things collapsing or undoing itself. But we have to understand and use wisdom enough to see that the undoing that we're watching happening is literally clearing the path in order for new things to take its place. And what Spirit is really charging us to do in this season is to get out of the mind of allowing people outside of you to create worlds for you to take interest in. And what Spirit is really charging us to do is to begin to take the power back into our own hands and to decide what the world that we most desire to live in, what does that feel like to us? What emotions does it bring up in us? Who do you see in that world? What family do you see elevating with you and transitioning to you as you move to these new beginnings and as you move into these new experiences? Understanding that everybody can't go and everybody won't go. You know? So Spirit is calling us to get into the spirit or to take on the spirit of new beginnings. And so the East is really dealing with us as it relates to starting over or starting fresh. Okay, the East deals with fresh vision. What visions are you giving to yourself? What visions are you planting into the soils of your mind? Okay, and then what works are you taking and being active in as it relates to your hands? Because faith without works is dead. You know, we can't just think up visions and keep them into our head, hoping that the universe one day decides, oh, let me just put everything out here, you know, for you and for you to just walk into the vision that you said that you wanted. No, those visions are going to take work. And in order for those visions to manifest, you have to treat it like a garden. You have to get out into your garden and weed away what doesn't belong. You have to get out into your garden and pull up the weeds that may be stagnating the growth that you're trying to see as it relates to your gardens. Okay, you have to go out there and water your gardens, being mindful that you're not overwater or underwatering, meaning being mindful that you're not over pouring into yourself. Okay, that you're not over pouring into your imagination, but it's all built up on ego, but no action behind it. Okay, we have to be sure that when we are creating these visions, we have to be sure that we have a plan in order to work those visions. Okay, and so the East speaks to fresh visions. And even if you found yourself being blocked as it relates to the things that you want to see about yourself, if you find yourself being blocked as it relates to the ideas that you want to think of, if you find yourself being blocked as it relates to your creativity, or as it relates to you being able to birth that which you desire to have, the East is also alerting you that Spirit is bringing in and is sweeping in fresh visions, new ways of thinking, new ways of perceiving the world, new inspirations to be inspired by. Okay, the East represents rebirth, and so trust that you're going to find yourself right now in many of experiences that invoke you to come up higher. or you to dive a little deeper, or for you to dig a little deeper. Okay, but in all of the falling away and all of the undoing, understand that you are rebirthing. Okay, understand that you are in your cocoon rebirthing. I hear butterflies. Maybe a lot of you may be seeing butterflies. I know me and Mrs. Holland have been seeing a lot of butterflies. But think of it as a cocoon. Maybe some of you will find cocoons as you're walking on your journeys or as you're just out in the world experiencing life. And when you see that cocoon, know that that is spirit alerting you that you are baking, that you are being sharpened, that you are being redefined, okay, that you are being made new. Okay, but you are protected in all of that growth that you're doing. Okay, you're not exposed, you're not overly exposed, you're not out here vulnerable. Okay, you're safe and protected in the cocoon that you are in as you prepare to rebirth yourself anew, as the butterfly comes out of the cocoon. Okay, the E speaks to ascension. As when we were on our Music Mancy meditation last night, the last song that literally played and closed us out after I finished giving the directional readings was Janine Aoki's song Ascension. And so if you find yourself being in a lot of transformation and changes right now, I encourage you to engage in a little bit of Music Mancy and allow Janine Aoki's song Ascension to speak to you. Many of you will hear that song over the next couple weeks or will hear it repetitively over the next 6 months, and these are your cues and your precursors to letting you know that ascension is around you. And if we know that ascension is upon us, then that means that every step that we're taking has to be calculated, it has to be filled with intention, and it has to have a vision attached to it. Okay. The East represents the mind. The East governs the mind. Those of you who followed us during on our Helen Spices page as it relates to our art of ritual, you guys will know that we delved extensively into the mind, understanding the mind, cultivating the mind, understanding what the mind was, and then learning how to activate those divine minds, learning how to work in the faculties of those divine minds. And now, and having that knowledge, it empowered us to now go out and to really create the worlds that we desire to see, no matter what world is trying to be force-fed to you. Okay, so the East represents insight. There's a lot of insight coming in for a lot of you guys. There's a lot of people that you're going to be in communication with that's going to be giving you a lot of insight. A lot of this insight is going to be coming from your mothers. A lot of mother energy is coming through as well. And so be mindful of the insight and the wisdom that's coming from your mothers or coming from your sisters or coming from your sisters. Be mindful of the conversations that your daughters may be having and engaging in. The East speaks to our learning processes, and we know that our wick being in the direction of the East is letting us know that spirit is dealing with how we learn and is dealing with what we learn. Okay, and so if you find that spirit is charging you to come up higher and how you take in your lessons and how you learn your lessons, be open and be fluid to spirit changing how you learn moving forward, to change how you take in information moving forward. And spirit is calling for a lot of us to be open, a lot of you to be open that will watch this playback, to be open in the information that's going to come up for you, and don't turn it off because it makes you uncomfortable. Be ready to learn new experiences and be ready to take in new information that's going to challenge the mind. And all of this challenging is coming from the direction of the East, okay? So the East represents birds. You guys may see a lot of birds that may be coming on your path over the next 2 weeks, over the next 6 months. Pay attention to the bird totems. And when those bird totems cross your path, make sure that you are looking up that specific totem. If you can't find the specific name of the bird, look up the bird itself. Look up the communication that comes just from the bird totem. Is going to give you a lot of information and a lot of insight. The East deals with incense. As you guys can see, I have a lot of incense burning around me right now. Incense represent the element of air. If you guys can begin to burn a lot of incense, you can burn resins. You can burn herbs, but begin to burn and begin to activate the element of air through the form of incense or through the form of burning resins or burning herbs, okay? The east represents incense, okay? As does the east represent the element of air, okay? The east also represents feathers. You guys may be finding a lot of feathers on your paths, or you may find a lot of feathers or begin to find a lot of feathers on your path, especially if spirit has drawn you into this directional reading right now. You may begin to find feathers on your paths, and that is your validation that the messages that went forth registered in your spirit, and that spirit is going to begin to work with you as it relates to the things and the messages that came forward from this directional reading. The season that the east represents is spring, and when we look at the symbolism of spring, it literally represents the earth reawakening from its slumber. Okay, and for many of us, we are awakening from this mass collective slumber. Okay, for many of us, we're awaking from this slumber that we were, experiencing as it relates to being present in our lives. Being fully awake as it relates to our lives, being fully present and aware of the choices and the decisions that we were making as it relates to being asleep or being aware. And so you guys can expect to see even greater mass awakenings, especially as it centers around politics, especially as it centers around religion. There's going to be a lot of mass awakenings as it relates to a lot of your favorite celebrities, those of them who come online and begin to choose the right timelines. Moving forward, a lot of your favorite influencers and celebrities are locked into where they are, and that is why Spirit is calling for many of us as a collective to rebirth, to reawaken to ourselves, to reawaken to the experiences and the things that we're being influenced by. Okay. The east also represents the restoration of beauty to the land, and so I love that idea, because we see so many things falling away and falling apart around us. But here, the message of the east is also bringing us the reminder that in everything that we lose and in everything that dies around us, there is still a restoration that's happening within us. There's still a restoration that's going to happen in the land. It depends on where you are choosing your timelines and what timelines you're choosing for yourself. There is nobody that is going to be able to choose the life that you desire to be animated in. You have to choose through the beauty of free will. So the restoration of beauty that many of us may see may be the reactivation and the understanding of the free will, and how one operates in free will, and what that means spiritually, metaphysically, and what it means in physical practice. Okay? So be prepared to see in a lot of different ways the restoration of the land, especially as we see so many natural and unnatural weather experiences happen all across the world. Okay, the east represents activation. So for many of you guys, there's a lot of activations happening for you, or there's a lot of activations that's going to begin to happen. A lot of your psychic powers, those of you who feel your psychic powers or just your gifts in general come online. Many of you are going to feel an upcharge and a heightened strength or heightened charge to your giftings, to how you operated in your giftings before and how you're going to operate in your giftings moving forward. And so you guys can expect to see an uptick or an upcharge to your gifts, be it your clairvoyant, maybe you speak to spirits, maybe you see spirits, maybe in your divination practices, whatever divinatory practice you find yourself operating out of. Maybe it's just your intuitive understanding, maybe it's your downloads coming in faster, or the validation of the downloads that's coming in being validated even more quickly than they were validated before. And so the east represents the imagination. So spirit is definitely dealing with our imagination, how we operate and use our imagination. Many of you need to spend time in your daydreams, just getting lost in your daydreams, understanding that you're not wasting time, you are creating time. You are creating an experience. And for many of you, it's difficult for you to create that experience when you are present and grounded, and when you are really tied here to the physical. For many of you, you have to go outside of your mind, to go into the clouds, to thrust yourself into the element of air in order for your mind to come online, in order for your ideas to come online. So for many of you, spend time with your imagination, playing in your imagination, spend time in your daydreams, getting lost in your daydreams. The East also utilizes the element of air, I told you guys, through incense. And when you're burning your incense, set the intention that you are activating the spirit of freedom. Okay, when you are burning your incense, set an intention for the things that you desire to come online as it relates to yourself and as it relates to your experience. Okay, the East deals with some herbs, or one herb that the East deals with is lavender. Maybe you guys are going to be drinking some lavender tea. Maybe you're going to drink some lavender lemonade. Maybe you're going to take a bath that just so happens to have lavender in it. Or maybe you just got finished using lavender, working with lavender essential oils, working with amethyst, bringing in that color of lavender, right? Or enticing the imagination of what lavender can look like, and what the imagination can taste or smell like. Okay, so the East deals with, or it invokes freedom, it invokes our keen-mindedness, and it also invokes our self-development. And so the wick floating or spending time in the direction of the East is really sending us the message that Spirit is dealing with our understanding, and dealing with our mental capabilities and our mental perspectives, and dealing with how we see the world and how we understand the world. Okay, the wick floating and spending time in the direction of the East lets us know that Spirit is really dealing with us as it relates to self-development. That means as it relates to your shadow work. Okay, as it relates to how you spend time with yourself and what you spend time on as it relates to yourself. Okay. The East deals with our sight, and it deals with our vision. We went through over that a little bit earlier. If you find that there's a lot more things that are coming into the vision of your sight, if you find a lot of information coming into or being downloaded as it relates to your sight, as it relates to maybe the sight of other people, as it relates to the sight of the collective, as it relates to the sight of the individual, Spirit is dealing with us as it relates to our sight and as it relates to our visions. The colors that you guys can usher in the direction of the East, you guys can bring in a lot of yellow and a lot of white. And I'm not even going to tell you how I have on yellow, a form of yellow and white right now, and I didn't even realize it. And so I shade to that of being in tune and being aligned at all times as it relates to just spending time and allowing the direction of the East to teach us in this time. And so colors to really invoke the direction of the East is white and yellow. Keywords that represents the East is rabbits. You may see rabbits. Rabbits may cross your paths. You may see rabbits in a book, on the television, but be prepared to see some rabbits. That again validates the messages that came forward from this directional goddess stamp reading. Trust represents the East, so Spirit is going to be dealing with us a lot as it relates to our trust, how we're trusting of ourselves, how we're trusting of other people, how we're trusting of the new experiences that are coming into our lives, how we're trusting the new beginnings that are being forced to happen around us. The East deals with our serenity. How are you being sincere in your practice? How are you being sincere in your actions? Are you not being sincere? And if you find that you're not being sincere with yourself or being sincere with the people around you, the direction or the energy of the East is really charging for you to bring your sincerity and your authenticity into order. Okay, the East deals with love. How are you being loving? How are you receiving? Being loved is your communication. Loving, are your actions loving? Are the visions that you're creating and sending out, are they surrounded and rooted in love? The East deals with compassion. How are we being compassionate for ourselves? How are we being compassionate for the collective? You guys are going to find that you experience some situations that's going to charge how compassionate you're able to be, and how you're going to be able to get out of yourself in order to bring resolve. I hear Spirit saying the East deals with air. We said that, so that's dealing with our communication. The East is dealing with new beginnings. The East is also dealing with the future. How are you investing into the future? How are you planning for the future? How are you preparing yourself to take root in the creations and the visions that you're creating for yourself right now? How are you posturing yourself? How are you preparing yourself? Okay, as it relates to the things that you're building for the future. How are you preparing your mind, your future mind? The East deals with salvation. When we think about salvation, many of you may think about Jesus, but the only salvation that really matters during this time is the saving of the self. And the only being that's going to save the individual self is the individual self. Okay, so the East is dealing with salvation and the East is dealing with spirit. So many of you may see an uptick or an upcharge of spirit activity around you, of spirit communication around you. You may find that you're able to interact a lot more easier with deities, or you may find yourself being more easier for you to operate and to communicate with your spirit guides or with your ancestors. So be prepared to see a charge in the spiritual activity that's happening around you, especially the spiritual activity that's happening as it relates to the collective, because there is so much ritual that's happening right now. And last but not least, as it relates to the direction of the East, the East corresponds to Taurus, y'all. And I thought that was so fitting that the East manifested itself last night during our Music Mancy meditation as we are under this full moon in Taurus. And then the last direction that manifested last night was the South, the direction of the South, right? And so this is just a demonstration. So last night when we were on live, once the wick finished up sending messages in the East, it moved into the direction of the South. And while it was in the direction of the South, the glass cracked in this direction. It didn't break, but it cracked. And so last night when it cracked, I heard Spirit begin to say that for many of you, you're going to begin to find that if you experience a lot of obstacles or a lot of setbacks, or if you found yourself hitting the glass ceiling continuously, hitting limitations, or continuously hitting just obstructions in the road, that there was a cracking or a breaking in that experience. And that as you push forward this time, that you were going to find that the work that you did wasn't going to have to be forceful, but that it was going to flow with ease. It was going to flow like water. Okay. And so the crack appeared in the direction of the South. And so the South deals with, is in the direction of being as above, so below, meaning that we have the north direction above us and we have the direction of the South below us. Okay. And so here, the wick being in the South, we know that the energy is dealing with the activity of everything that's happening below us. So right now, everything that's happening in the physical, everything that's happening where you're standing, everything that's happening in the experience that you find yourself in. Okay. And when we look at the symbolism or the messaging that comes from being in the down direction, it represents and it speaks of the earth. Okay, and we're in under this, or in resting in the zodiac sign of Taurus, and that's all about earth energy. It's all about grounding energy. It's all about going into the earth, working into the earth, securing your foundation, securing your stability. Okay, and so being in the down direction, it deals with earth. It speaks of the earth, grounding in nature, and it speaks to being in the realm of death, and being in the realm of transformation. And I thought that was very, very powerful. And so this is a charge for many of you to get out into nature and to spend time outside. It doesn't have to be you always sitting in grass or burying your feet in the dirt. For many of you, it's just going outside and spending 10 or 20 minutes in the pockets of sun where you can find it, or just going outside and being among nature, listening to the birds sing, listening to the chipmunks chip around you, listening to all the spirit animals animal communication that's happening just from spending time outside. And so being below us, this energy is dealing with death and transformation. And just these last 2 weeks, we've seen so many instances of death on such a collective level. And out of death falling on such a collective level, we also saw a huge transformation of the people and their ability of being able to recognize ritual when they see it happening. That is the transformation. That is the rebirth. That is the awakening that the energy of the South was letting us know. Okay. And so the being in the below direction, this is dealing with death and transformation. So you guys can prepare to see maybe death hitting close to home, seeing instances of death maybe in your community, or just beginning to see an even greater uptick of death happening in the collective. And I want you guys to really begin to prepare your minds and to really begin to prepare your spirits so that you are able to temper your emotions as you see more and more and more instances of people passing away and going out tragically. But all of these experiences are happening in order for us to bring the highest level of transformation to this planet right now. Okay, so the South deals with our passion. So right now, Spirit is charging you to find what you're passionate about. Okay, finding what you can be, what you can put passionate action towards. Okay, the South deals with wolf energy. And so maybe you guys have some deceptive energy around you. Maybe you have some deceptive people around you. Maybe you have some sheep and wolf clothing, people cloaking to be something that they're not, people cloaking to have experiences that they haven't had. Okay, so be mindful of wolf energy. But you guys can also interpret that wolf energy as being the head of the pack. Maybe you find yourself being or holding the position of leading the pack, of orchestrating the pack. Okay, of setting how the pack moves. Be mindful of how we activate that wolf energy within us, how we activate that wolf totem, being in charge, being very keen-minded about our surroundings, being very strategic about who we let into our spaces and how we initiate them into our spaces. The South deals with the element of fire, and so if you find yourself working with your goddess lamps a lot right now, working with that energy of fire, if you find yourself doing or operating in a lot of candle magic, or maybe you just find yourself around fireplaces, around campsites, anything that puts you in the element of fire. Maybe you need to activate those fire placements that may be existing in your natal chart right now. Or maybe you may be a fire placement that may be really taking this energy really harshly right now, as we're seeing so much change and transformation and rebirth as a collective and in our individual lives. The South, some really good crystals that's representative of the South is carnelian. That came out as well during our East direction. So carnelian, and another one is red coral. Some highlights of the direction of the South is illumination. So you guys are going to begin to see things around you being shown lights on, maybe things that you were blind or unprivy to before. You're going to begin to see the things around you that need to be illuminated. Maybe some of you have been doing so much shadow work. Maybe some of you have been working so hard on yourself, so hard on your mind, so hard on your businesses, so hard on your friendships, so hard on your personal relationships. And now Spirit is telling you that you're going to begin to see an illumination. Okay, you're going to begin to see a light shining on you for all of the work that you're doing, for all of the time that you're pouring in, okay, for all of the energy that you're investing, for all of the currency that you're spending. You're going to begin to see an illumination of all the work that you're doing, or for others, you're going to begin to see the things that need to be illuminated around you in order for you to see into your experience more effectively. Okay, another highlight that represents the South speaks to the pulse of creation awaits to spark life. And I love that, meaning that for a lot of us, the pulse of creations are sparking within us. We can feel the pulses of creation in our wombs. We can feel the pulses of creations in our mind. We can feel the pulses of creations in our heart space. We can feel the pulses of creation in our hands. Okay, we can feel the pulses of creation in our inspiration. And so the direction of the South is letting us know that the creations that we are manifesting right now, that Spirit is lighting a fire to them. And when Spirit is done lighting a fire to them, that they're going to be illuminated on a level that's even far past what you saw happening. Okay. The South highlights or dominates the summer. Okay. So that's a call for us to begin getting many of the things that we need to put into order or have into play or have in line before we come into the next summer month. We know that this year had moved really, really fast. And for many of you, this year caught you off guard because you weren't prepared. And so as we're in the season of winter, now is a good time to buckle down and to hibernate, okay, and to work on yourself and to work on your creation so that by the summer you're able to pop, so that by the summer you're able to begin to collect aspects of the harvest that you've been planting, so that you're able to collect on a lot of the seeds that you've been planting for the last year, okay? Colors that you can work with as it relates to the South is yellow, green, orange, or gold, shades of orange. The South represents our inner child. I was just talking about inner child work earlier. If you find that you have a lot of shadow work that's coming up as it relates to the younger aspect of yourself, Spirit is really charging you to really begin to deal with your inner child so that you stop creating the experiences that you keep generating into your life, so that you stop generating the same people that are carrying the same attributes and the same qualities of the people that you're releasing yourself from, okay? The East deals with the experiences of our senses. So how are your senses? Are you taking care of your senses? Maybe a lot of you are experiencing a lot of sinus pressure or a lot of sinus infections. Maybe a lot of you will begin to see an uptick of sinus infections or sinus issues, things related to the nose, things related to your senses. Maybe you need to sharpen your senses, okay? And the South invokes you to engage with life. And it asks you the question, is your life dynamic and pleasurable, or is your life dull and without vision? Okay, that is the question from the South. The South encourages spontaneity. The South is encouraging us to be physical, and the South is encouraging us to be confident in every way that we move and in every decision that we make. Spirits that are linked here to the South are the jinns, are the salamanders, are the grand red dragons, the phoenix, the lizard, the tigers, and the golden lions. So you guys can rest assured that you may see these spirit or animal totems come up for you over the next 6 weeks or over the next 6 months, especially as it relates to red dragons or just dragons in general, or the phoenix or the lizard or the lion. Types of magic to engage in when you're working with the energy or working in the direction of the South. You guys can be working on doing cleansing rituals, protection rituals, rituals that bring you victory, rituals that deal with banishing negativity or banishing negative people from around you. A few things that are energized or that become energized in the direction of the South is our faithfulness. So the South is regenerizing our faithfulness and how we are faithful to ourselves, how we show up to ourselves, how we move forward being faithful to our practices, how we move forward being more faithful to our spouses. And that doesn't mean that you have to be cheating, but maybe you can be more faithful in how you communicate, and maybe communicating more often. Maybe you can be more faithful in setting a date night, or being more faithful and being the initiator instead of waiting on your partner to initiate, okay? And so the South is dealing with our faithfulness. The South is regenerizing or re-energizing our courage. Maybe you found yourself in a lot of fear moments or fear driven situations. Spirit is energizing your courage and your enthusiasm. The South deals with horses. And when I was gathering my notes last night, I heard the fourth horseman. I heard Spirit keep saying the activation of the fourth horseman. And so what that says to me is that you guys need to go and begin to study what the four horsemen symbolize and how you see those horsemen showing up as it relates to the collective and as it relates to the ritual going forward. Because in understanding how this horseman energy is going forward is equipping you with the ability to be able to protect yourself as we move forward. And so the South represents the horses. It represents being physical. It represents our strength. It represents our health. It represents adventure, and it represents loyalty. And so definitely begin to incorporate more physical activities into your daily regimens. Begin to maybe, I hear Spirit saying that a lot of you are in physical relationships. So there's some people out here that may watch this playback where Spirit is saying that it's time for you to come out of this relationship that is physical. And not physical in a good way, but physical like somebody's putting hands on you. And that Spirit is giving you the strength in order for you to get up on your horse, in order for you to charge away. Okay? So that was for somebody. So right now is a really good time to work on your strength of mind, your strength of heart, the strength of your body. Now is a really good time to begin to put good health practices into place, good daily health regimens into place. Begin to really take note and focus on the body. How does your body feel? The things that your body may be missing. Okay, pay attention to the body right now and be very mindful about who you're giving loyalty to right now, or who you feel may be providing you with loyalty. Maybe there's some people out here that may have people around them that's being provided with a false sense of loyalty. Okay. The South deals with fire. Spirit last night wanted me to say, those of you need to find, some of you out here that need to figure out a way of how to produce fire without electricity. Begin to know how to train yourself on ways to produce light, to produce fire without power. The South deals with our energy. It deals with our passion and our creativity. And last, the South deals with being present. It deals with being here in the now, not trying to force and to rush to get to the future and not lingering in the past. But the South is forcing us to be present. And so if you haven't, or you found it difficult to be present over these last few days of being under this full moon in Taurus, you found it really tricky to focus or to be present, take time today to get out into nature and to settle yourself and to be still, so that you are able to find moments to be present. Okay, the South deals with beginnings, and so we see this message and this call of new beginnings. Again, the same message that came from the direction of the East. And the South deals with our purity of mind, purity of heart, purity of body, purity of the intentions that we set out, not only for ourselves, but for the people around us. And the South corresponds to the energy of Leo. And that is dealing with, again, with your courage, dealing with how you present yourself to the world, is speaking to the confidence that you exude when you're speaking to the world. Okay, speaking to how the world sees you, how you see yourself, how you receive attention, okay, how you attract attention, okay. And so this brings us to a close of our first Directional Goddess Lamp Collective reading. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback and what you think. If you find that this reading today served you in any way, if you found that there were some messages that validated some of the things that were coming up for you, I love to hear your feedback, and I love to hear your experience with this message that went forth. And I want to thank you all again for just spending your time with me. And I also want to invite you guys back to join me again when I go forth in another Directional Goddess Lamp Collective reading. And let me know what you guys think about this style of divination. Does it work for you? Does it make sense? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you feel free to drop it in my inbox, or feel free to comment under the comment section. And if you feel that there is somebody that could use today's Directional Goddess Lamp reading, feel free to like it and to share it to all of those people that you know that it could serve. And I thank you guys for joining me again. And until next time, peace, y'all.